Okay, let's get started. Hi, everyone, and welcome to our presentation for Oceania Cruises tonight. We have with us the amazing Kathy Denroche, who will introduce you to the world of Oceania. She will tell you about their new ship, mainly talk about the new ship, and refurbishment of their current vessels. So it'll be great information and great itineraries. So first of all, I'd like to introduce myself. I'm Elaine Kerwin with Expedia Cruises in Sydney. We also have with us Heather Wood, my partner in Sydney. We have franchise partners from North and West Vancouver, Kelowna, Burnaby. He's in Arizona barbecuing right now, but Victoria, Comox Valley, West Shore, and Kerrisdale. So quite a selection of franchise partners, and we all are big fans of Oceania. So it's fun. It's so exciting to finally be able to travel again, to plan future travel. And we've been checking in with all of our franchise partners and clients who've been going on cruises right now. And they're all saying that it is the travel experience is worth every extra bit of work that has to go in to achieving this travel. So always remember that it is so worth it. It's been a long 19 months and we are all anxious to get out there and explore. As a reminder, insurance is an important part of your trip and cannot be ignored. We work with Manulife Insurance, who have been amazing and are doing the best to get us the coverage that we all need. So do not forget to buy insurance for your trip, but it is important. The most important thing is that you understand the coverage you're getting, so you're not blindsided if something happens. If you have any questions, drop them into the chat function and we will be answering them or not at the end of the presentation. So I'm going to now welcome Kathy Denroche, and she can tell you what Oceania are doing. And I know you're going to be enthralled by what she has to say. We always are.
Oh, thanks so much, Elaine. And I'm just going to share my screen, everybody. So hang on one second. I just wanted to say thank you for all attending tonight. This is so wonderful of everybody to at 7 o'clock at night to be online. So thank you so much. Well, I'm Kathy Denroche and I've been around a very long time in the industry, but I've been with Oceania for 12 years. And you know, I love to talk about Oceania because it's such an interesting little cruise line that started out almost 18 years ago, carving this incredible niche in between the premium and the luxury market. And so when I look at kind of who we are as a cruise line, I think about, gee, isn't this beautiful? This small ship luxury, going into places that the big ships can't go into, coming in with just such a personal, intimate feeling. And so I want to tell you about that tonight because Oceania, I've been here 12 years out of all the 45 years I've been in the industry. And I have to say, I love it. For my grouping, for my age, as I started to enter into my 60s, I wanted something that was super small, really intimate, real attention to detail. And I looked at Oceania's itineraries and I could just not believe how beautifully intensive they were and adventurous and incredibly interesting itineraries that were really port intensive. So when I talk about Oceania, I think there's three things that I want to just focus in on because I'm going to tell you all about Europe tonight. I'm going to talk about our travel experiences, our curated travel experiences, meaning that we go from 7 days on some of our cruises right up to 180 days around the world. And it's absolutely amazing. So, some of these incredible places all over the world. So I really want to tell you about that. That only happens when you have small ships. And that means that in these ports that we can get into, like St. Petersburg, for instance, when we come in and we dock right in front of the Hermitage, or when we come into places like Saint-Tropez in Europe, or coming into some of the beautiful little places like Cinque Terre and La Spezia. And these are designed to have small ship experiences. And so this is why we have always been coveted for our curated travel experiences. And that's the number one reason anyone ever comes to Oceania, is because of these amazing itineraries that we have. And thirdly, we have what we call our we're the cruise line for foodies. We have this incredible cuisine on board the ship. And we did things differently 18 years ago. We, as I say, we carved this niche called the upper premium market, a little bit more inclusive than the big premium lines, but not quite as inclusive as the 6-star lines. And we loved that because it hit a chord with a lot of Canadians. It hit a chord with a lot of people. They thought, this is fantastic. You've got these great itineraries. And I might not be, I might not need all my liquor included. I may not need all my shore excursions included. I'm kind of an independent explorer. So what Oceania created was the importance for travelers of things that already should be included. So for instance, when we come into places like St. Petersburg and we dock right in front of the Hermitage, we're there for 3 full days. When we come into Dubrovnik, into the beautiful walled city of Dubrovnik, our shuttles are in and out of that city are included. Almost every port in the world that we go into, we literally said that we want our guests not to feel like they have to be nickel and dime to get into the city centers, because 50% of our guests don't even take our shore excursions. They just want to wander around and kind of be independent. And so one of the things I'm going to talk to you after I talk about the Europe and the itineraries is the safety protocols and the new things that we're doing that are really kind of exciting. But I thought with this slide, I'd just show you, and this isn't a slide about any other cruise line. It's a slide purely to show you the size of our ships. So I love the big ships. I love all the big ships, small ships. I love the river cruises. I love all the different kinds of cruising there is because I'm a cruiser. So I like the choice that we have. But now when I go on my vacation, I want a really small, little tiny ship. And the reason I want that is because it's very attentive to me. So when I go into a restaurant, I order a cappuccino or I order a latte, I never have to ask for it twice. They know what you drink, they know what you have, and it's kind of a really nice feeling. It's a very personal feeling. So for every 1.5 of me that are sailing, there's someone looking after me. So there's no lineups, there's no crowds. As I said, it's intimate. All these beautiful little small, gorgeous, I would say appointed rooms that make you feel like you're in someone's house, which is pretty amazing. So we have 4 little tiny ships right now. They're 30,000 tons each. They're 670 guests. 3 of them could fit onto any of the big ships we used to see in Victoria Harbor and Vancouver Harbor. We will again. But anyways, the fact is that they're small and they're beautiful. And the fact is that when I came over to Oceania, I came because we were building the Marina and Riviera. And that's the next ship you see in the white here. And that's twice the size of our small ships, but they were still intimate. They were the size I was selling over at Crystal for 18 years. And I loved the size of these ships. So they were 1,200 guests. So during the pandemic, while we haven't been able to travel, we actually have been working a lot on the, improving the re-inspiration of all our fleet, everybody. So all of our 4 ships are completely re-inspired and they're absolutely glorious. The only one left to do, and she goes in early January, is the Nautica, and she'll be taken right down to basically the studs and rebuilt again like the other ships were. And so we've really done a beautiful job on these small ships, and they're very manor-like. They're very elegant. They feel like you're in someone's home, but they're beautifully appointed. Even every single bed, every piece of art was taken out. So when I said we do things differently, it means that not only were we including things that were really important to travelers that I'm going to talk about, but the fact is that we were doing things that were different from anybody. We said we didn't feel that we should charge anyone to dine on our ships. So we're the cruise line for foodies. We have 4 restaurants on our small ships. On the Marina and Riviera, we have 6. And on the new Vista, which I'm going to tell you about, we have 12 open dining rooms. Now, we actually have reservations in a lot of these restaurants, but we don't charge for that. We don't have kids programs. We said we were going to be a cruise line that every single person who came on our ship was a guest on our ship. So we don't have kids programs, but we do have kids. We just said, we're not going to charge for soft drinks, for water, for coffees, for lattes, for London Fogs or anything like that. People felt that they just wanted to already, kind of that should be their right. So we didn't charge for that. So there's a lot of things we did. And we said, we're not going to have an art gallery or an art on board our ship. We're not going to have art auctions. Instead, what we're going to do is we're actually going to put $7 million of original art on board the ship. So it was one of the audiovox tours you could take and walk around the ship with this beautiful original Picassos and Murray sculptures. And it's truly, they're magnificent ships. And while we've been in the pandemic, the Marina and Riviera have also been re-inspired themselves. So everything is changed and beautiful. And I thought I'd just show you some of the safety protocols that we put on board the Marina, because she's the only ship of ours right now sailing. She started on August 29th. We did a limited capacity. We wanted to be flawless, and it has been incredibly flawless operation. And now on October 18th, the Riviera starts in Athens, and we'll be sailing out of that. And then in December, we'll put the Sirena in. That's the ship, one of the small ships that does the around the world cruise. And so she'll start her around the world cruise, and we will continue on till the early part of spring, when we'll have all of our 6 ships back in the water. So all of our crew are fully vaccinated. We've set tables aside, so almost every second table is empty, so we can have proper social distancing. You'll see here in these pictures, I just took them from my camera, that you can see that for your safety, this table is closed. So we really have taken it seriously, and we've had 0 cases on board the ship. But we really watch how our guests are, that we're treating our guests with that same kind of respect. And so when it comes to safety on board our ship, cruise lines have always been incredibly safe, but even now, even more than ever, we've actually all implemented almost 70 new things that cruise ships can do to make it even better. And we've always been at Oceania on non-touch service. It means that when you go to our Terrace Cafe or our Waves Grill, you can't actually touch any spoon to serve yourself. Buffets will never be the same on any big ship either, but we've always had a non-touch service, so we serve you. And so we've been incredibly careful of how our guests touch utensils or anything like that. Well, the exciting news is that in April of 2023, our Allura class, or what we're calling the Vista class, and our new ship called the Vista, is coming out. And she's going to be the same size basically as the Marina and the Riviera, with 1,200 guests. And again, for every 1.5 of you, there's someone looking after you. But this is what I love about this ship. Everything we've done is so spectacular in its view. It's just so elegant. It's very warm. It's very jewel toned and silver and bronze and gorgeous kind of jewels, as you'll start to see when I show you some pictures. But I think the greatest part of it all is that we have a new solo veranda stateroom. Now, this ship is all verandas, unlike the rest of our ships, which are 75 to 85% verandas. This ship is fully verandaed. It's got French verandas. It's got beautiful big balconies. And so it depends on the kind of category you're doing. But we heard everybody loud and clear that we needed some staterooms that were just purely built for solo travelers. So we have those as well. And everything we do has a real upscale residential feeling to it. So when you're sitting in these beautiful chairs or coming into the grand lounge, which are here, all the original artwork, all the original chandeliers, everything has been hand chosen. And when it comes to small cruising, small luxury ship cruising, you won't see huge entertainment, but on Oceania, we've got great entertainment. But you're going to see more edutainment, more education that comes with Oceania. So we have TED-like talks. We have artist loft. That means we have an artist in residence who can teach you how to paint, draw, do all the things that we're in those regions for. And also we have incredible lecturers. So you're going to see even more of that come onto Oceania, what we call our platform, our Oceania Next. But the fact is, we're going to have 12 different dining rooms, and I don't have time today to show you all of them. But it's one thing that we didn't want to charge our guests for. And Ember is our new kind of comfort food restaurant on board the Vista. And she will be open. You'll be able to see the galley and all the chefs cooking right at your face. And hopefully on our next Vista ship coming out in 2025, that will be every single restaurant will have open galleys, so you can watch everybody cooking and a chef's table and things like that. But this is where you might get some braised short ribs or truffle macaroni and cheese and that kind of stuff. So it's a beautiful restaurant. We have our, Terrace Cafe, dining outside, being able to have someone bring you what you want. You point to what you want and someone brings it out to you. So it's al fresco. And this is casual. And the other thing that Oceania started, of course, way back in 18 years ago, was to do it differently. We said we need to be more casual. We're not going to have 2 seatings at dinner. We're going to have open seating between 6 and 10 with reservations in some of our restaurants. But we're also going to have casual affairs. So we're not going to have formal formal nights anymore. We're going to be casual. And so when you come up in the Terrace Cafe, this is where you have jeans and t-shirts, and you come up for breakfast, lunch, or dinner. You can have grilled lobster in every one of the restaurants for lunch, for dinner, for anything that you come to. It's fantastic. And so we have these gorgeous ships, everybody. And basically what I love about it is that, you know, we always get a 10 out of 10 on the feeling that you get when you're on board the ship, but we wouldn't be anywhere if we didn't have some of the most unbelievable crew. And so we kept all of our crew during the pandemic and brought them back on board the ship. So with Oceania, things like coffee and bottled water. And we were the first cruise line that said, we're going to get rid of 3 million plastic bottles of water. And we're going to put a new system in that all the luxury hotels in Europe do, called Vera Water System. So we have that. We have all these things in your stateroom. You have a refrigerator full of all the, non-alcoholic beverages and things like that. So someone is always there looking after you as far as that. And 50% of our guests don't drink. So that's why we kind of have this slogan, your world, your way. And I'm going to tell you about your world, your way, and how that comes to be, whether you want liquor included, or whether you want shore excursions included, or you just like me and just, I don't know what I want, so I'm going to take a shipboard credit. So I love that. But everyone wants Wi-Fi, so we have complimentary Wi-Fi. Everybody wants exercise classes, so we actually don't charge for Pilates, for yoga, for our wellness center. Everything is there for your use, and that we have classes all day long, and Pilates and yoga. So these don't cost you. The one thing that when you come into our vitality centers is, or Aquamas Spa is what we call it, is that if you have a massage or a facial or a treatment like that, is when you pay for it. But other than that, when I'm on the ship, I can go to as many exercise classes I want, or even if I just want to work out on my own, I don't have to go to a class. So that's really nice. And our gyms are the size of a lot of the big ships gyms, because exercise and fitness is a big deal for a lot of our guests. And even with that, we've built shore excursions around fitness and health and well-being. And so it's kind of nice. And of course, room service, we don't charge for that. And again, the choices you have are unbelievable. We don't charge for dining in any of our restaurants. So when you come up in a specialty restaurant, even though we may take a reservation for you, the fact is they're intimate, they're small. We don't charge you to dine there. So I love that fact that it's very open and it's very inclusive in the right important things. So I was telling you a little bit about the edutainment. And so what we call our enrichment or edutainment on board our ship is that our guests feel it's really essential to gain new perspective when they travel. And so what we do is that not only do we have some great entertainment every night, but during the day we have lectures from all over the world. Let me just give you a quick example, even though I'm going to be talking about Europe tonight. But on our Patagonia cruises in 2023, this is the first time Oceania will be going down to the Antarctic. It'll be a cruise by. We won't be getting off anywhere. But I have to say that we'll see so much wildlife. And the reason I showed this itinerary is because on this one particular cruise, like we do with almost all of our cruises, we have 5 enrichment lecturers coming on. We'll have talks about geology, history, all that kind of stuff. We also have an artist in residence based just in the Antarctic and what they want to see and show and teach us. So this is the kind of stuff on every single one of our cruises that you'll see. And then when it comes to enrichment, you know, on any holiday, you might not remember the color of your chair, but you're always going to remember if your food was good or bad. And with Oceania, excuse me, I have to say that one of the things I love about it is that it's a hands-on cooking center. Even on the new Vista, we have our own dining room to go with the culinary center. On our little small ships, the 4 of them, we can't actually host a culinary center. We have to do an actual cooking class. I'm going to cough. Hold on one sec. I just got over this horrendous cold that's going around. So, you know, I talk about the cruise line for foodies, and I think about, gee, going off into the market with our chefs. We do short excursions that are based along the idea of having great food. So you can go to markets and you can go to cooking classes in chateaus and things like that. So we have short excursions that are built around every kind of interest. And so the freshest of ingredients, you know, people often think that luxury lines have great food because it's all gourmet food. It isn't. It's the freshest of the most unbelievable food. Everything we do on board, we make. We even have a vegan galley on board our ships with over 250 plant-based items. So we've always had vegetarian. We've always offered, you know, different kinds of special dietary requests. But I mean, when I say plant-based cuisine, I mean some of the best you've ever had in your life. And so we do our Buddha bowls and we do our green quinoa parfaits and things like that. So the choice in dining on board Oceania is what makes us the cruise line for foodies. It's the fact that when you ask for you know, maybe a slice of cheese. It's not just a cheese tray that comes. It's a board that's rolled in front of you with about 20 different kinds of cheeses from all over the world and homemade biscottis and things like that. So unbelievable. So now I want to just talk to you in my last, you know, part of this is that our destinations are so incredible. So we go all over the world. As I mentioned, we go right from 7 days to 180 days around the world, but we go right up to the top of Svalbard, that little gray blob up at the top of your map there. And we spend almost 7 months with 6 of our ships sitting in Europe. And then the regatta, and that'll include the Vista. And then the regatta will come over into do Alaska, Bermuda, you know, Canada, New England, Panama Canal even from, you know, Miami all the way down to Lima, Peru. So really interesting itineraries. But we circumnavigate Australia. We go into India, we go around South America, we go around Africa. We're doing so many beautiful things. And right now, we obviously aren't doing that, but we are selling itineraries in the future that are doing it. And the trend is huge. And one of the things that all of the Expedia people can tell you, because they're such amazing partners to Oceania, they really know their product. They're always the people that are there at all our sessions when we're doing training and updates and all that kind of stuff. This is such an amazing team of agencies that you have to really help you. And I love your Expedia ads on TV where we've got you. And that's true. These offices have our backs and they have your backs more than ever. There isn't one of these partners online tonight that don't phone me all the time and say, can you help me close this sale? Can you help me with anything? They are a very, very engaged group of people. So when I talk about, you know, some of the things that we do as a team, we'll kind of say, well, why even go home? Why don't we do this kind of back-to-back sailing? So some of the trends we're seeing in the industry right now are people are coming in droves to smaller ships and they're taking longer cruises. And that's because they couldn't sail in 2020, they couldn't sail in 2021. And now all of a sudden for 2022 and 2023, the floodgates have opened and everybody wants to go on board the ship. So we are offering longer cruises as well. And because my talk tonight is basically really built around Europe and our new itineraries on the Vista, I do want to say that if there's anything you want anywhere else in the world, the Expedia gang can help you get that with us. And we just released our Americas and our Europe for 2023, all the way up to November of 23 out last week. And the Vista just opened for sale on September 15th, and she almost sold out of her first 18 sailings. So, you know, one of the things I'm noticing when people book this far in advance is they're saying, oh, I got a wait list, I can't go now. What am I gonna do? And I go, okay, that all this is gonna change. This is a year and a half and 2 years away. So this is where you always want to talk to your Expedia professional and kind of get a priority wait list going. But when I look at the Vista now, I think, oh my goodness, look at this itinerary, Mediterranean Visions, you know, 14 days, 10 days from Greek Isles, and our other ships also do more in-depth Greek Isles. This is just the inaugural season of the Vista. And so this sailing I love because we're going into the Holy Land. And actually, while this sailing starts in Istanbul and ends in Rome 14 days later, we have some of our other ships which are starting in Jerusalem for 14 days and starting, so we fly you in and out. And with Oceania, we always include your air, your taxes, and your cruise. Out of Victoria, Calgary, and Edmonton, we add on almost a $260 Canadian add-on fare. It means that we will fly you from Victoria on the fastest nonstop route to London or Istanbul and home from Rome. So Vancouver has complimentary air, Toronto and Montreal, but all the other gateway cities in Canada have a $130 each way fare in Canadian dollars. So we actually plan your air for you. And there's opportunities to do business upgrades and all that kind of stuff. So we have some amazing itineraries. This is 14 days in the Holy Land. This is one of my favorite cruises because remember what I said, why go home? Well, we've taken 2 sailings here and merged them together because that's how we build our itineraries. So we start in Rome, we come all around Italy, go into Malta, unbelievable, and up into, you know, Firenze and then Monte Carlo, like we dock as if we're someone's little yacht there, and then into Saint-Tropez, hardly any ships go there, and up into Marseille, which is Aix-en-Provence, and some of the most beautiful areas. I'm going to show you about a short excursion we do there. And then what I love, this is the area less traveled, is Spain and Portugal. And it's beautiful because you come from into Barcelona and Palma de Mallorca and Malaga, and then all the way down into Tangier and Cadiz with Christopher Columbus, and then Portugal for port tasting, and La Coruña, which is a UNESCO heritage site, and Bilbao for the Guggenheim Museum. You even have Sevilla in there, Seville, which is so unbelievable. And then Bordeaux, and that's the home of all the chateaus. And then you got Saint Malo, and Saint Malo was where Jacques Cartier started his their statue right in front of the city. And an amazing book called All the Light We Cannot See. If you've never read it, it's about World War II in this beautiful little walled city. And then we end in London. So this is a gorgeous cruise, but I have to say we can break that up into 2. And so our Canadian guests, even our American guests, they want Italy, they want France, and they want Greece, but they never really asked for Spain. So if you think you've been there and done it, but you haven't done Spain, that's probably one of my very favorite cruises in all the 45 years I've ever done. And this cruise I love because it's literally a little bit of France, a little bit of Ireland, a little bit of England, and then we come all the way to St. John's, Newfoundland. I mean, what a beautiful place on earth. And then Saint-Pierre-et-Miquelon, which is a little tiny bit of France sitting right under, Nova Scotia. And then St. John, New Brunswick, and into Boston, Newport, and into New York City. So I love that itinerary. And of course, Canada, New England. And if you want to carry on for the fall, come right down to Miami. So that's the Vista. Those were her 18 sailings. But now what I want to just show you really quickly is some of the other sailings, because the Vista's not going to be doing the Baltic. We're going to do the Baltic with the other ships. So here we come into St. Petersburg, and we do this beautiful Baltic of 10 days from Stockholm to Oslo. And so we come through the Kiel Canal. Now that is probably one of my favorite days on any ship ever, because it's a tiny, beautiful little canal that only small ships can get into. And I love this itinerary because we spend 2 to 3 days fully in St. Petersburg. And we come in at peak seasons because we only have 6 ships in our fleet and 7 with the Vista. But we call it the White Nights Festival, and we don't call it that. Russia calls it that. But we go in from June to July there. And this is one of the biggest light festivals in the entire earth. And it's just thousands upon thousands of people who come and look at it. And it's going to be amazing. And so we're going to be there during that. And we can do private evening excursions into the Hermitage, into, lunch with, caviar and spirits in some of these beautiful cafes. So we have culinary discovery tours. And then one of my very favorite cruises in all my life has been the fjords of Norway. And so when I look at this, everybody, I kind of think, okay, this is a beautiful itinerary. Here you are coming from Victoria, wherever you're living in Canada, and you're coming all the way to Oslo. You have to have some time there, maybe a couple of days, and then you cruise up to see these incredible fjords. There's only 4 places in the earth that really have outstanding fjords. One of them is Norway. One of them is New Zealand for the Milford Sound, Alaska, and then of course South America and the Chilean fjords, and they're so stunning. But I love this itinerary because you get to see about 4 different little pockets of fjords, and the ships come right up there. And again, here's a 2 cruise pushed together opportunity to go right up into the Baltic and the fjords at the same time. So these are the little tiny places you're going, and some of our home visits that we take you to in our beautiful little Go Local. Our little Go Local tours are only built for 16 people, not 60, 16, and up to 16 people. And so I love this. If you want a little bit of Iceland and Scotland, and the Faroe Islands in Runavik. This is, again, a beautiful little itinerary. This is only 12 days, but again, with the beauty of Oceania, you can tie a cruise on either end. You can have a pre and post package. That only costs you, I think, $175 US, so 230 something Canadian dollars to extend your stay. And all the Expedia team can help you do that as well. And then we will fly you in maybe up to 3 weeks early or whatever you want. But I love this. And I love the fact that we go into Greenland and into Nuuk and some of these gorgeous, huge craggy kind of inlets, and to see all the muskox hanging off the cliffs and things like that. So it's pretty cool. The Norwegian wonders. I mean, everything we do up in Norway, up in the northern part of Europe, it's the land of the midnight sun. The sun doesn't go down. And then, as I was talking to you about Holy Land, we come in and we go into Jaffa. This is the old Tel Aviv, and these are go local tours. And so you go through the eyes of the local and you do walking and you have lunch, or coming into Limassol, Cyprus. Absolutely amazing city in life, and it's kind of an interesting city too, with tons of history. But I have to say that, when I look at some of these itineraries that we have, whether it's on a small ship and it's maybe going to Spain, some of our shore excursions are like this, hiking the old St. James Path, which is, the disciple St. James on the El Camino Trail. This is some of the wellness discovery tours you can do. So what we've done, in the case that people may, countries and cities are changing all the time. They're changing the regulations all the time. So we're always up on everything we have to do. At first, when we were coming into Europe with the marina in August, we didn't, all the countries, the cities that we were going to said, you don't have to wear a mask. Then just the week before the ship started sailing, they said everybody has to wear a mask when they get off in the city. So these are the kinds of things we're going to be flexible with over the next year. What I want to tell you as a guest coming on to any travel, you have to pack your patience and you have to pack your flexibility, because things are definitely going to change. They're never going to stay the same. But the fact is, it will come back to being a really great new normal once things are good. And so I think this is a fact that, when you look at some of these beautiful itineraries that we have, everyone, we go into some of the most beautiful marquee ports like Istanbul, like Venice. But the fact is, we're also going to come into little boutique ports like La Spezia here and, the Cinque Terre area. So, we actually have designed over 3,000 shore excursions for interest in the case that we have to continue getting off the ship as a group. So we have our guests that are interested in culinary. We have guests that are interested in, bicycle riding. We have guests that are interested in hiking. We have guests interested in going on a cooking class. We have all sorts of different interests. We have wind turbine people who are kind of green environmental people. They want to see what countries are doing for environment. So we've got wind turbine tours and things like that. So there's something for every single person, whether you just want to go hang out in a coffee shop. We've even got a shopping tour and a coffee shop tour for you. So we've got lots of different experiences for you. And hopefully we'll have very soon a chance to just walk off the ship on our own, because half of our guests don't want our short excursions, but right now they will have to have them in the next month or so. So we have small tours, we have large tours, but I thought very quickly I'd show you one of them. One of the tours that we offer, called in this Mediterranean cruise in 2022. This is when we come into Marseille. I showed you one of those itineraries. So we come into Provence area, and so southern France is so beautiful anyway. But we take you, and only 16 guests can do this, into a black truffle discovery tour. So we take you on a 112-acre personal ranch of someone's, and you kind of hunt for black truffles with their dogs. We always thought it was pigs that did it, but they don't. It's dogs. And then you have lunch with black truffle linguine, and it is absolutely amazing. Or maybe you're kind of a history buff and you go, I want to go to the Oceania Castle when you come into Kapur in Slovenia. And that is a castle that was built hundreds of years ago on top of these caves. So it's amazing kind of experience with wine tasting and all that kind of stuff. So these are all the little things you can do. And finally, when I talk about what's included for everyday value, it means that, when I say that we include things that are really important for people, it means that we include the things that are really important to travelers. And I think that's one of the greatest things I love about Oceania. Personally, I love to drink, and I love to kind of have a martini if I want to, but I don't need it all included. I'm not a shore excursion person that needs all my shore excursions included. I want to pick what I want. So it's your world, your way. And sometimes I'm the kind of person, I don't know what I want until I get on board the ship. So a few years ago, Oceania introduced Oceania Life Choice. It means Life Choice. It means that not only do we do your air, your tax, your cruise, but now what we do is we offer our, kind of a series of shore excursions. You have up to 10 shore excursions in each city that you can choose from. And depending on the length of your cruise, you get maybe 4 or 8 or 12 or 22 shore excursions. Or if you don't like shore excursions and you're like me, and you think, well, maybe I'll do a free beverage package. Well, we already know with Oceania, all your soft drinks and water and everything are included. But maybe I want wine and beer at lunch or dinner. And for $20 more a day, I can have a full premium liquor package and drink martinis in the morning if I want to, or Bloody Marys. So whatever that is, you can have that too. But I personally am a person that goes, I just want the shipboard credit. I want to spend that money the way I want to. So it starts at $400 or $600 or $800 or $1,200 or $2,200 in shipboard credits you can use. And that just comes off the end of your bill. So we love that side of having it your world, your way. The choice is yours on how you want to spend it. We're not all inclusive, but we're really inclusive for lots of the great things. So here we are in Oceania, and we've got all these things included. Where does Expedia come into it? So Expedia, being one of our greatest partners in life, has really what we call our exclusive privileges. And that means you have prepaid gratuities on over probably just under half of our sailings. So with that means that when you look at prepaid gratuities, as Canadians, we always say, well, I expect those anyway. Well, not really. On us, we don't include them on a normal basis. This is a gift to you from Expedia. And what I love about this is when you look at an average 12-day cruise, it's about $480 for the stateroom in gratuity. So the value is huge. So the other thing we do when we do a consumer event like this is I always throw in something extra. So you have to book before October 31st, but we'll offer you a wine bundle in there, a complimentary wine bundle. That's 3 different beautiful bottles of wine. We work with Wine Spectator. So we will have a red, white, and a sparkling wine. And you can change that all around once you get on board the ship to however you want it. You just tell your room stewardess. I love that. We're a cruise line that, because we're the foodie cruise line and the wine cruise line, you can bring your liquor on board. You can bring your wine on board. We don't, say anything. If you bring it in the dining room, we will charge you a corkage if you bringing it off from the ship, from the port onto the ship. So, the things that Expedia offers on a lot of the select voyages are your prepaid gratuities and this incredible service. So you see this big picture of Oceania being small ships, longer voyages, even short voyages. But I like to think of Oceania as a kind of a very intensive itinerary, an immersion specialist when it comes to some of the destinations. And everything from the moment you walk on board to the very moment you debark that ship is incredibly impressive. And that's why we are one of the most popular cruise lines around. Do you know that in the first 9 months of Oceania being in service, Oceania was listed as one of the top 10 cruise lines in the world. And when I started in the business with the Love Boat, there were only 5 cruise lines. Now there's like 50 something. So it was a huge honor, but it's because we have a word in our company called Kaizen. It means that we tweak things slowly. So we never jump into anything, but what we do is we make sure it's right and perfect each time. So guess, and I know there's a lot of you online tonight who have probably sailed on Oceania. I know how much you love it. It's just a beautiful, small, intimate experience. So I want you to come and join our Oceania family. And finally, with the health and safety protocols, as I mentioned, we're so safe. We're always so safe anyway. But the fact is, back in June of last year, we actually hired 6 scientists from all over different faculties and said that, whether it was science-based or environmental, and we said, what can we do better? What can we actually even improve on that we haven't done yet? And so we implemented 73 new rulings on board our ship. So we all have to be vaccinated as guests. our crew all have to be vaccinated. We will offer you a PCR test before you depart coming back into Canada. Those are worth about $350 right now to get. So we're paying for that, or an antigen test if you're an American. We have socially distanced check-ins. We actually are socially distanced on the ship as well. We have had so many beautiful comments from guests this last 3 sailings of the Marina. And I'm really excited for the Riviera to go in next week. But people just saying, we're just being treated so beautifully. We're being spoiled rotten. Everything is flawless. And when you hear the word flawless so many times lately, it really is incredibly cool. We had a sailing on one of our second sailings of the Marina. It was just before Labor Day. And I want to tell you this because it just shows you what a small ship can do. But Sweden and Holland decided in the Friday of the Labor Day long weekend that they would not take any American residents. So the ship was scheduled to sail out of Stockholm and sail all through the Baltic. But we had to turn the ship and move it to Copenhagen, where you could sail out of. And so we had lots of guests flying over to Stockholm. We had to intercept them and move them to Copenhagen. And in 24 hours, we turned the whole operation around. And then Sweden changed its mind and said, well, you can come back as long as you've been in the EU at the beginning. So it was really interesting. But the fact is that with a small ship, we can turn things around really quickly, but we keep it so everybody's comfortable. And there might be a few disruptions with, the whole pandemic in place, because countries are opening, countries are closing, cities within those countries are, making their own rules. So we are really, really well advised by each port that we come into and each country. I just want you to know that we will take such good care of you no matter what. But the fact is that you will always be safe on Oceania, and that's what I love. So remember what you love about travel. Whether you've been in Alaska or you've been in India, or I look at the Taj Mahal here and I think when I went there many, many years ago, and I think I just want to go back traveling. And I know a lot of you do too. So with that, I want to welcome you to the Oceania family. And I hope that you come and choose to sail on Oceania, and whatever you need, talk to your incredible Expedia team. They're all here for you. And if we can't answer all your questions, then I know they'll get back to you. So Heather, I'm going to pass it back to you, my darling. And thank you everybody for your attention. And it's, 40 minutes of talking. So I probably have talked too long, like I'm known for. But I just want to thank you all for coming tonight, and hope you come and join our family.
Thanks, Kathy. That was terrific.
Oh, thanks.
I really like that when you say this is one of my favorite, I say that all the time.
Yeah.
Really, truly, exploring the world is my favorite.
Yeah, it truly is.
Yeah. And so thank you very much. It made us curious and want to, we have one question in the chat. Ooh, a question.
No, it's just a thank you.
It's
a thank you.
Oh, yeah. Well, thank you so much for thanking us. And, I think you're right, Elaine, when people say, what is your favorite destination? I go, I can't choose that. I just know that it's just too hard, because every destination you go to is so different. And
it's which day is my favorite? Yeah,
exactly. And I was going to show everybody some Tahiti and some of our Cambodia cruises tonight, but I thought, I promised just to talk about Europe, and it is the most popular. It's the number one chosen destination for next year with everybody. And the other thing I'm going to tell you, and I promise to then really stop talking, is that with a small ship, and Elaine can tell you this, is that the space tends to sell out very quickly. And that isn't a hard sell pitch for you, but it's true. It's that we don't have 5,000 beds. We have 670 beds or 1,200 beds. That's it. And so if you want something that you see, book it. Put your deposit down. You can always cancel later. I had a situation where a guest who was booked on our around the world cruise for 2023 had booked, and then she kind of freaked out a little bit after she'd booked it and said, is the world going to be safe? And, maybe I should just cancel now. And so the advisor she was working with phoned me and said, what would you do? And I said, well, let's get the guest on the line and we talked it out. And I said, listen, you can cancel for whatever reason you want. You don't have to go on the ship. But number one, the ship sold out in 24 hours. So you'll never get the space back on 2023 around the world cruise for 180 days. Number two, you have 2 years to think about if you want to cancel. So, you know, what we do as industry people, as Expedia and Oceania, we think right now, this is what we're dealing with. And that's what, as guests, you're also thinking of. But what you're actually booking is 6 months, 8 months, 10 months, a year and a half down the road. So whether it's waitlisted or whether it's, you know, something you want to book what you like right now and get it. And then if you need to cancel, you can do that too. But you have time. Don't you think, Elaine?
Oh, 100%. I
Yeah.
think I have people who are trying to decide and they're putting it on the fence. And the cabins that we looked at the day that we talked are gone now.
Yeah.
You know, and if you have a specific need for a midship stateroom, you're going to be stuck at the front of the ship, you know,
Yeah.
going with the waves. It's
Yeah.
just,
Well,
yeah.
and this is what everybody had said over the last year is that, oh, I really wanted to book that, but I couldn't get, you know, I just couldn't get the space I wanted. And so you just can't wait with small ships. You book what you like when you want it. And, you know, that way you'll see that, you know, you get what you want. And you guys are very good about, you know, hounding us to help you do that. So,
Right. Yeah. We have some questions.
yes.
Let's see what we have here.
I have the first one here, Kathy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you know about the arrangement for the Venice ports? What's
Yes,
happening
right
with the
now,
Venice
right now,
ports?
well, the whole world is waiting to see what's going to happen with Venice, but right now most ships are going into Trieste, which is an hour and a half away from Venice. So we are taking guests into Venice. It's not going to be a lot of time there. But I think this year is going to be tough until it gets what we've got. And one side is Italy, who really wants tourism, and Venice doesn't want any of it except to come in, but not by a ship. So, you know, there's so much talk about it. So I can't really give you a solid answer, but I know for right now, this fall, this next few sailings, we will not be going into Venice itself through the Grand Canal. No ship will be. It'll all be through Trieste. And so just stand by, because I think things could change rapidly over
Right.
the next year. But great question.
Trieste is beautiful.
It's just incredible. Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
a plus.
I think so. You know, one of the things I've always learned in the travel business is that change is something we can't control. And some of the best trips are when it's out of your control and we do change a port because, you know, let's face it, there's so many people who have seen Venice, but the fact is that Trieste is beautiful. And yes, you still can get into Venice. It's just, you're not going to have as much time there. And that's the flexibility and packing the patience that everybody needs right now.
Yeah. Okay, cancellation. Is there cancellation fees past a certain point? Yes, there is. But the cancellation dates are pretty generous right now. So, you know, it's if you find when we get close to cancellation that you really need to cancel, yeah, we can have a talk about that.
Absolutely. And I know you'll come to me too.
That's right. And
Yeah.
yeah.
We have another question about the deposits required and setting up payments, which is a great question, but we can, Darcy, if you want to reach out to your agent, then we can answer that question specifically depending on
Yeah, it
itinerary.
changes for each cruise line, but
Yeah.
but Oceania, it's a pretty nominal fee. I think it's $700 for, you know, our regular outsides and veranda staterooms and $1,500 for our suites. So yeah, it just changes depending on the length of the cruise as well, right? So yeah. Still a great question though.
Ah,
That looks
Okay.
like that's it.
Well,
and I
everybody,
like this
thank you.
comment. This is tempting for us to go. Yes, yes.
Oh, good. I hope you do, you know. Yeah, it is truly, I have to say that, you know, I've been around for so long and all the Expedia people know me, but when we go to Victoria or Vancouver and have the ship visits, you know, for over the last few years, you know, people come away just going, what a beautiful ship. I mean, that's number one, because it is so beautiful. It's like a residential home, and it's small, and the staff are so amazing. But number two, they come away just going, that was probably the best cruise I've ever been on. And I have to say that after all the years, I worked for Crystal for 18 years prior to Oceania, and I've been here 12 now. And I love Oceania for me because it's got everything. It's got an edge to it, the artwork, everything, the libraries with fireplaces. No, the fireplaces don't work, but you come in a bar and there's a fireplace, and it makes you feel like you're in someone's home. And it's just so relaxed, and ottomans on the chairs, and you walk into our little baristas and have a little, cappuccino or a little, biscotti or something, and no one's charging you for anything like that. It's so wonderful. It truly is an amazing experience. So I really want you guys to all come and join us. I know you're going to love it. And as I said, you have to October 31st to get the wine bundled, and that's worth about $150. So I think it's definitely worth your time to have a look and see what you want.
We have a question here that we missed originally.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a really good question, actually. He was asking about shore excursions and COVID. So you sort of touched on it, that there's most of the shore excursions, you have to take the ones off the ship.
Well, it's interesting. So we have 6 ships, and we have 1 in the water now, 2 coming in by the end of October, 3 by the end of December, and as it goes. Each port, each country is very different from each other. Some start out by saying, no, you have to be on an escorted group to get off into that city. And then others say, no, you don't. You can come, into our country and our cities without any, as long as you're fully vaccinated, you can walk around on your own. But it's changing every day. The best thing to do, everybody, is go onto the website and look at safety and health protocols, which changes every week as we work with vaccines and all that kind of stuff. But to answer the question, and it'll change probably by tomorrow again, in our situation right now, the countries we're going to on the marina right now are suggesting that we have to be in escorted trips, whereas 2 months ago they didn't, but now they do, and maybe a month from now or next week they'll drop that again. So it just depends on where the pandemic is sitting within each country. You can't even imagine the logistics that go along with this. It's just unbelievable. But yeah, so that's why I say we increase the number of shore excursions that we had. So we had something like just a shopping tour. If someone wanted to go to a shop, we had room for 15 people to do that in case someone wanted to do that, and we had to have it escorted. Most of the time, as you all know, when you travel, you just get off and walk around wherever you want to. Mm-hmm. And that's what half of our guests like to do. But at this stage, we all have to be escorted off. Now, when the Riviera enters Athens in October 18th next week, will she have to? We don't know yet. We'll know probably about 2 days prior to going. And and again, even on the ship, there's times where you have to wear masks. Right now on the marina, you have to wear a mask on the ship unless you're eating or drinking or sitting at a table or whatever on your own. But we didn't have to do that a month ago. So it's all the CDC that regulates all the protocols. And so, we can all find out for you whatever it is that you're booking. But I imagine in another 6 months, you will not have to wear a mask in a country unless it again changes. You won't have to probably wear masks on board the ship in the next year. So, things are moving along just how they should, but they're moving. And that's the important thing to remember. They're moving.
And the next one is how many people in the tour group. So it's
anywhere from 16 to 22, I think, right now for us. Okay. So sometimes it's 8.
Which is still a nice size because
16 is perfect. Yeah, it's really small and nice. And especially the walking trips and the bicycle tours and stuff like that. Those are all 14 and 16
I'm
people.
all over the bicycle tour.
Yeah. And there's a little, the wine tasting tours, or the go locals. We have these in Victoria and Vancouver you can do, right? And so you go off with the locals, and that's what we do all over the world. It's very, very cool.
Yeah. Good. Well, I think that's it.
Well, thank you so much, everyone. And really, really appreciate it. And I know this session's being recorded, so, we can send it to you. I know, Jeremy and the gang have usually done that, but all of us, we're here to help you. And I just hope you come and join us at Oceania. So thank you so much for coming tonight. And thanks, Expedia, for having me.